Hello, friends, and welcome to Season 3 of Hops and Hedges, the podcast where we talk about beer, landscaping, and everything in between. I'm your host, Heather Gerard from My Landscape Artist, and I am so glad you're here. Hops and Hedges is proudly sponsored by ext.tech, and you're going to want to stick around until the end of the show for an exclusive discount code to use for their powerful CRM software and mobile app. Now crack open a cold one, and let's dig in. There we go. With me today, finally, I don't know how long we've been trying to do this darn thing, is Daniel Mazur. So you are a landscape designer. You're a member of Landscape Ontario. We sit on the designer sector group together. You're a drone operator. You're a graduate of University of Guelph. A little bit of everything, Daniel. So welcome to the show.
Thank you. It's a pleasure. Thank you so much.
We've been, I don't know how many times, like even at Congress in January, we were like, oh yeah, we got to do the thing. We got to get you on the
Yeah,
show.
we got to do the thing. Yeah.
And then we
Yeah,
did
it
it,
was,
and then life. But here we are.
yes.
It's finally happening in Season 3. So
Yes.
here we are. So Daniel, for people who are tuning in who might not be familiar with you or WSIP, WSP, sorry.
Yes.
Words.
No, you're good.
WSP or yourself, can you
Yep.
let us know who you are, what you do, and what makes you amazing?
Sure, for sure. Well, yeah, thank you for introducing me. My name is Daniel. I am a Fanshawe and University of Guelph graduate with an advanced diploma in landscape design. Yes, there we are. And a bachelor degree in landscape architecture. From there, I just wanted to start working and start immersing myself in the industry. I now work for a worldwide global consulting firm by the name of WSP Canada. It is a Canadian, fully proud to say Canadian company. It is owned and operated out of Montreal, and they are massive. They are 70,000 plus employees. Sometimes people think you might be a number, but you're treated very well there. I really enjoy my time there so far. I'm 3-ish, 4-ish months in, and it's great. It's great. I'm learning so much and applying all my knowledge that I've learned at school. It's very nice to know that I can go to school, those skills that I've learned, apply them to my career, where some people, really struggle with that, where they get a degree and then they're working at Starbucks or they're
Or
doing
doing
something
something completely different,
doing
right?
something completely different. And that's not to say that there's anything wrong with the career path that you choose or where you
Yep.
choose to work or by any means saying that. But yeah, it's just really good to know that the money spent and the time spent in school is so heavily applicable. So yeah, it's been great. A little quick background. I worked landscape construction since I was 15, so that's kind of got me to where I was at. I love to travel. I love doing droning as a hobby and taking pictures. That kind of amalgamated itself into landscaping, which I'm sure we'll touch on in a little bit. But yeah, that's pretty much me in a nutshell with what I love to do in my schooling and my career.
That's awesome. So starting landscape construction at 15. So
Yeah.
who pulled you in?
Huh.
Like how did you
So
fall into this crazy thing, crazy world of landscape?
yeah, it's kind of funny how that works. So I'm a big camper. My family always went camping, always big on outdoors, always had my hip waders on in the creek fishing, crawfish, crayfish, whatever you call them, always picking out those, throwing in a bucket, catching
That's
a
what I
craw.
did too. My
Yeah,
parents,
right?
or my mom and her parents, they would fish and I'd be going for the crayfish or the crawfish or however you want to say it.
Yeah.
That was me
Yeah.
too. That's so funny.
See, small world, eh? Yeah, it's sometimes that's just what gets you into things. Yeah, I'm from Grimsby, which is in the Niagara region, the first stop entering the Niagara region. I have the 40-mile creek right next to my house, so I was
Wow.
always romping around, messing around in there. Grew up for the first 11 years of my life as an only child, so it was me and nature, really. I loved being outside. But then once I got to high school and I started to look at part-time jobs and things like that, the thought of just being inside stocking shelves just wasn't for me. So my aunt, my great aunt technically, said like, have you ever thought about, maybe working construction or landscaping? And I was like, I don't know, sure, maybe. And she was getting some work done by a local company here in Grimsby called Original Greenscapes. Shout out to them. They taught me a lot. And from there, the rest was history. She got some work done by them. She said that she has a great nephew who would want a job. I went in there and I worked there for multiple summers while in school. From there, I hopped around to many different landscaping companies, learning more, taking what I learned from one, going to another. The one I think that resonated with me the most was Grimsby Soil and Mulch in Grimsby. They were awesome to work for. Super, super nice people. It felt like I had like a little work family. It was a super small ma and pa, supply yard, but also did the jobs. And I was kind of the guy who helped out with leading and doing those jobs. So yeah, that's kind of where it started. And then, but probably by the time I was like, that was when I was 15, starting out. And then by the time I was like 18, I was like, wow, this is like hard work. It's very humbling work. I did it, but I didn't want to do it forever. And
Hmm.
I played sports and stuff growing up. Like my back was hurting at a young age, and I was like, this is just not for me. So how do I do this but not do this? And then I went to Mohawk College for architectural technology. I failed miserably. I mean, my mindset was elsewhere. I was having a lot of fun while in college, to say the least. And mine just wasn't there. There was too much math and it wasn't clicking. Yeah, I failed it. I failed miserably. But then I was like, okay, I love design though. Like, how do I do this? Well, I fell upon landscape design just from Reddit forums and coming
Wow.
across Fanshaw's course somehow. I don't even know how I found Fanshaw's landscape design course, to be quite honest with you. I don't know what I searched or what happened to like get me there, but I found it. And
So what year was that you
that
discovered?
would have been, I want
Just
to
out of
say the
curiosity.
summer of 2017, I
Wow.
would have found the course, maybe 2018. And then 2018 is when I like found it, applied, and figured it out. And then it just so happened my girlfriend, who I'm still dating now, 8 years now, it's going on. And we just early in our relationship, which is something you usually don't do, we just moved to London together.
Yep.
She wanted to do interior design, interior decorating technically, but interior decorating, I want to do landscape design, so we just did it. And I mean, it worked out fantastically. The schooling was
Wow.
great. Her schooling was great. We got along great. Still getting along great today, but
Hope so. 8 years
yeah,
later.
8 years
Huh.
later, yeah.
Wow.
But yeah, so that was kind of it. But in that, actually, I think this was one of the main catalysts that kind of made me want to move to London was I was big into the nightlife scene of DJing and music production,
Oh,
actually. Yeah. Yeah. So like Hess Street in Hamilton, I was like DJing all the nightclubs there and stuff like that. I was never really the partier. I was more the partyee. I liked supplying the vibes rather
yeah.
than being the person kind of like wasted, whatever. I love playing music. I loved music. I still love music. Music's probably like the second thing I'm most passionate about. So I found out about all these famous artists that come out of London. So I was like, okay, that's also a cool reason to go there. So the first year pre-COVID, it was like schooling was kind of on the back burner and music was kind of at the forefront. So grades were suffering a little bit, but I was like, doing enough to scrape by because I still liked what I was doing. So it was just kind of coming naturally. COVID hit. And my opportunity to go to England with Fanshawe was kiboshed. We were locked up in a basement for I don't even can't remember how many months that was or year it was of school, right? A year and a half of the actual school year. It was crazy. So with that, canceled all the big shows I had lined up with music and DJing and stuff like that. And I just was like, I need to lock in. I need to hone in on my schooling because I love what I am in school for.
Yeah.
And yeah, one thing just kind of led to another. It was kind of just a almost a domino effect in many circumstances of things that led me to where I am. I applied to University of Guelph right out of Fanshawe, didn't get accepted. There was a lot of falling down and picking myself back up again. A lot of failing, actually. A lot of failing.
You were failing forward though. And I think
Yeah.
that's
Yeah, I'd
really
say so.
important to point out is sometimes when people fail, they either stay down or they take so many steps back and they never step forward and they just keep going without sounding too wishy-washy. But you know what I'm trying to say? You're
For
you
sure.
actually have, and we're going to talk even more about this, but every time you quote unquote fail, you still you know the direction that you want to go to. And so you
Yep.
might fall a little bit and you might have a little, you know, skip in your step. That's not quite the word I'm looking for,
Little
but
hiccup, you know.
little hiccup. Yeah. But you were back up there and you were like, I know where I want to be, or at least the direction that I'm going. And
Exactly.
you didn't just roll over and take it, you know?
Exactly. I think accountability is a huge word in that. Like, there's many things I hold myself accountable for rather than trying to find blame or to find a reason of like point fingers. Essentially, Mohawk, I didn't care. I wasted money, like 100%. I wasted so much money. Maybe
Yeah.
not so much, but enough money. I wasted money. And then, going to fan shop. I remember Kareen actually, Kareen
Shout out
Wilmink,
to
who I'm
Corinne.
yeah, really, she was my school mom. She was one of the best professor in post-secondary I've had. She was awesome. She's the reason I have the job that I have. So
Oh,
her and
that's
I stayed
amazing.
connected, and she connected me with the hiring people for WSP. So yeah, she's fantastic. But she held me accountable, right? Like she would tell
Yeah.
me when I'm being lazy or when I'm doing a crappy job or whatever. And that's how I act too. I'm very not rude, blunt, but like if you're not doing something, like there's a reason. And if there's someone else's fault there, sure. But yeah, so like, to come full circle, accountability, you got to hold yourself accountable. If you're being a goofball, you're being a goofball, and no one's
Yeah.
gonna like necessarily get mad at you for being a goofball, but just like be accountable, you know?
Yep. At some point, you need to take control. You know,
For
it's
sure.
something that you said in your story too, how with COVID, like it wasn't until the music opportunities canceled because of COVID that you were like, okay, I need to take control of my grades because I really want to be good at this. And for me, like pre-COVID, this isn't even when, my life fell apart the second time, which was COVID. But early on at school, through Fanshawe College and the same program that you took, I I was very, very involved with the local theater community. So, acting, directing, producing for, at the time, more than 20 years.
Wow.
So, like, I was a professional volunteer thespian, which doesn't pay the bills. And it was not during COVID, but it was during this time at my first co op where I was just sitting down in the quiet, right? Because I wasn't partying. I was physically living in a trailer at a botanical garden, Whistling Gardens. Darren and
Oh
Wanda,
wow.
love those guys, changed my life. But anyway, so I'm living in this camper on site of the botanical garden that I was working at. And I just woke up one morning and I was like, I've just spent 23 years of my life acting for fun. And it's been fun and it was very rewarding. But it's time to focus on career. Like it was like a light switch went off where it's like, this isn't just going to happen unless I decide that this is going to happen. And it switched, right? And then I later learned and discovered that my 20 some odd years of theater experience actually translates into project management. So now that's what I do. I'm a landscape designer who also does project management, right?
There you go.
So it balances. But yeah, you got to decide for yourself, right? I do want to point out, because on the show, I always love talking about mentors and mentorship. And I
Please.
feel like I would be remiss if I didn't also give out a shout to Corinne Wilmink. So she is a professor in the advanced landscape design program at Fanshawe. She was one of my instructors as well. And she actually, I will always be grateful to her for so many things. But she introduced me to a book called The Inward Garden by Julie Moore Masurvey. And I
Okay.
am obsessed with this book. It is no longer in print, but you can find used copies once in a while. And I think I've read it 4 times since we read it for the first time in her class. But yeah, she is definitely one of my mentors, whether she knows it or not. Big shout out to Corinne. For yourself, Daniel, you mentioned that you would like to give a shout out to the one and only Hag Safarian. So
Yes.
talk about Hag. How has he inspired
Sure,
you?
sure, for sure. Yeah. So first of all, yeah, a huge shout out to Hag. He's an incredible, generous, very generous man who is very, very selfless in many instances and in many ways. I was in school at Fanshawe College. We had the trip to Congress, Landscape Congress, and the trade show. I think this was just before COVID, I want to say, for timeline purposes. And yeah, we went with the class, yada yada yada, walked around, and Hags Furion was on the let's call it the intimate stage. There's a name for it on the designer committee, and I don't remember the name for it,
Yeah, the
but
live stage,
it's
right?
yes, the live stage.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, the live stage. So he was doing a talk there. Truly, I forget exactly what the talk was about, but it was a thing that was something to do with hardscaping. Myself and my friend Gabe, who I went to school with, and my partner in crime at school, we went to go listen in and watch it. And then after just thought like, hey, you know what? Might as well shoot my shot. Got to go shake this guy's hand and say thanks for the talk and see where this goes. I'm an extrovert. I love to talk. I love to yap. I love to meet new people. Put me in front of a room of 100 people and give me a topic and I will talk about it. So going up to people like that is fairly easy for me, but in this instance, it was a little intimidating because this is kind of like an industry professional who knows his stuff, and I kind of quickly looked him up on my phone, and I was like, wow, like this guy is, yeah, he is very well marinated in the
Yeah,
industry.
absolutely.
So went up, shook his hand. I said, hi, my name is Daniel. This is who I am. This is what I do. This is what I'm in school for. And quite literally, the rest is history. We stayed connected. We chatted monthly to the point where even for a while there, we were chatting weekly to the point where we were having monthly coffee meetings and just chatting about stuff going on. As you said earlier, I went through a lot of ups and downs, a lot of hiccups, and Heg was always there to be like, what are you doing? Like, pick yourself up, keep going. He was a huge, huge encouragement to reapply to the University of Guelph because he was by my side when I didn't get accepted. And that was really discouraging for me because age-wise, being and physically wise and mentally wise, a more mature person at the University of Guelph, I was so ready to just start life. Like I was so done with school. So the thought of like wasting another year and reapplying and
Right.
yada yada yada. I was like, no, I just need to I want to start making money and working and learning and be able to start life. But he was like, listen, now's the time you got to do this. You'll regret not doing it. And yeah, he was by my side in so many, so many, so many areas. So he was able to mentor me in many ways that I didn't think were possible with just making someone who is a student feel important and feel
Hmm.
heard. Usually people who are in seats like his are very like, I know my stuff. I'm the
Yeah.
boss, and you should treat me with respect, and you should do this, and you should suck up to me, and that's just like, that sucks. And I'm not going to name names, but I do have come across many people in my life in managerial roles or boss roles who are like, you should be kissing my feet. And it's like, no, no, I shouldn't. I should be looking up to you. I should be treating you with respect and so on and so forth. But I am, as are you, and as are students in my cohort and people my age, we're the next demographic. We're the next people to take over your jobs in the industry. You should be helping season us to be able to take that throne one day. And that's what Hag does.
Yeah.
Like that's what he does. And I don't know how he runs a very successful business and has the time to make everyone feel important. And
Hmm.
I think that's the biggest thing is to be able to make people feel important and feel heard. Because my biggest saying is you can always make more money, but you can't always make more time. So there's always time to make more money, but
Right.
you can't physically make more time. But Heg manages to make more time for people all the time. And that's priceless. That's honestly so priceless. Like I emailed him today with a question and he's like, "Yep, set up a meeting this week. We'll chat." I don't know who does that. Who's
Right.
in one, people in general, but two, people who are as busy as him doing what he's doing, right? Yeah, big shout out to Hag Zafirian. He's
He
been
really. So I know him through the design sectors group as well and through Beth Edney. But with Heg, he really makes it a priority to give other people the time and space to feel seen and heard, we
right.
can't make more time, like you said, but the things that are important to you, the things that you want to be known for, the things that you want to pass on, and teach other people about, if you make that a priority, you will find the time because you book it first. Right? And he does that. He's such a humble man. I think this is the second time he's been brought up on the show, but hasn't been on the show. So
He's
Hag,
got to be on the show.
I'm coming after you. You're gonna be on the
Yeah,
show. We're gonna have a
I'll
beer, or a
I'll start
drink, or a
harassing
coffee
you too.
together.
Sure.
Speaking of beer, so you, Daniel, you are a very good employee and you were at work today. So shout out to your employers for allowing you to meet with me today during the workday. But that means you are not drinking at work. Totally understandable. And I understand you have a beer sweatshirt on.
I do. Enjoy a good
Stella,
Stella. Yep, I enjoy a
Stella.
good Stella. Absolutely.
Excellent. So I do have a beer. So I'm just gonna drink and enjoy this for both of us. Okay.
Cheers. I have some water here. I do have some water.
Cheers. Excellent. Cheers. I'm drinking the Hazy Days IPA. It's bright orange can.
Yes.
I totally can't think of who brews it right now. Whoops. I'll figure
Okay.
that out later. Too funny. What else was I going to say? So moving on from mentor to life advice. And I
Yes.
loved what you wrote. And so I wanted to read it verbatim back to you.
Sure.
So I always ask for people if they have any life advice, like tidbits for either in life or somebody who wants to start their own business. And this is what you said. You said, don't give up. Always put your head down, work hard, and try. It is better to try and say you failed than never to have tried and just gave up and just gave up. See, I tried to read it verbatim and then I got excited.
Okay.
But I love that. And I don't know how many times I've said, not just on the show, but in life, I get very passionate about trying things. I think we live in a society where there's a lot of fear that's instilled in us as children to don't do that. It's hot. Don't touch that. Don't put that in your mouth. Don't eat that. You won't like it. You know, be careful. You're going to fall. And we've instilled so much fear in our little
100%.
humans to try something new. And we carry that into adulthood. And it's
Absolutely.
like, what's the worst that could happen if you just try? Just try, right? So anyway, I didn't want to totally override your moment here, but
No,
I
not at
did.
all. Oh,
Apologies. But can you
no, you're
talk
good.
about this? Because it's something that comes up for you a lot, is this concept of don't give up,
For
right?
sure.
Simple, but
For
it's
sure.
powerful.
Yeah, it was a very short and sweet thing that I did, right? And I was kind of looking back like, oh, maybe I should have said a little more there. But sometimes, things get lost in a jumble of words when you're just trying to make a concise point. Trying to make a concise point. That's it, plain and simple, is to never give up. I come from a very loving and supporting family that has done nothing but pushed me to be my best. And even when I would come home with a failing grade in elementary school or high school or post-secondary, I would get asked the classic question, did you try? And that's where I learned a lot about accountability, because there were scenarios where I said, yeah, I tried my best. You saw me studying, yada, yada, yada. Yeah, you're right. You tried your best, and your best is what matters, and that's okay. On to the
Right.
next. Try harder next time. But there were times where I was out or with friends or this and that, and I go, oh yeah, I didn't try my best. I hold myself accountable for that. Later in years, once I met my beautiful girlfriend Sasha, she she was just added to the family, just added to
Hmm.
the family of always motivating to always try. And she's been with me through my entire post-secondary landscaping designer, landscape architecture career. So she knows it inside and out and has always been there to support me and guide me and motivate me. And yeah, it always comes back to never giving up, because something that my grandfather always told me was, if you didn't, you want to try and fail rather than to not try at all, because people look at failing as a very negative thing. It's only if you didn't try and failed. So if you
Yeah.
didn't show up for your test, let's say you didn't show up for your exam and you failed. Well, obviously that's a negative thing. You didn't go try to write the exam. Even if you don't study, but you go to the exam and try, it's something. So I think always trying and failing is the best thing possible. The example that I have that works the best for this in my life is my DJing and music production. I left that knowing that I gave it my all. I tried my absolute best. I had hundreds of sleepless nights. I had hundreds, if not thousands, of 3 a.m. wake up at 6 a.m. for work nights. I worked for free. I borderline sold my soul for, these who say you're going to get this gig and this and that. And it's like COVID happening. It was a terrible thing that happened, but I was able to turn it into something positive, because it was able to allow me to reflect on that and be like, you know what? I gave it my all and I tried, and I
Hmm.
still love those things, but it failed. It did fail. At the end of the day, it totally, totally failed. Otherwise, I would be doing that right now, right? And I'm not. And I'm totally okay with that.
Hmm.
So, needless to say, always try. Always, always, always try. Even if it's something super different that you're not comfortable with, or something new, or even meeting a new person or going up to talk to someone. Trying isn't necessarily just doing a task, it can be trying something new, of stepping out of your comfort zone, going to say hi to someone, sending that email. If you don't try, then it's like you have no one else to blame but the person you see in the mirror, right?
Yeah.
So I think
Right.
failing's a great thing
Yeah,
as well,
it's such an
you know?
interesting way of going through life because I don't find many people do that, and I do. So that's why it really kind of perked my ears up a little. But I'm not sure when it happened for me, where I almost became I don't want to say obsessed because that seems like it's negative and I don't feel like it's a negative energy around it. But I really do see failures as learning opportunities. And it
For sure.
sounds, I don't know where I got that or which book or which mentor or which family member, right, instilled this in me. But if you don't try, then you don't learn and you don't improve. But if you try and you fall on your face, you're going to know what to do or change next time. Right. And
Mm,
that's the domino effect. Like all of that learning just kind of snowballs into something bigger. And there was something else too about this idea of being on our deathbed. And it sounds kind of morbid, but stay with me here for a second.
I'm with you. I'm with you.
Where when that time comes, if I haven't died doing something really fun and amazing, but if I'm in my deathbed and somebody asks me, what do you regret? I never want to say that I regret that I didn't try X. Right? Like it's one thing
Absolutely.
to, because I
Yep.
think if you tried, you can't regret it. Like you'll get
That's the thing.
something out of the experience. But if an opportunity came up and you didn't try it, I think that's what I would regret. Now, that's different when sometimes an opportunity or a situation comes across your, I was going to say your desk, but in life, and you
Yeah.
know it's a hard no. That's not a regret. I don't have like fear of missing out. That's not what I mean. But
Yeah.
sometimes
Yeah.
something
Yeah.
comes
Yeah.
up and you're like, man, I wonder, like, what if I tried that? That's a good indication that you should try it.
You should probably try it.
You should probably try it. Yeah.
Absolutely. I
Um,
totally agree with that.
Sorry, my brain just stopped working because I
You're
was
good.
totally going to say something else. And we were talking about advice. We were talking about graduating, and I paused there because I can edit it later. We'll see if this actually shows up in the podcast.
Beautiful.
So, something else you do in all of this amazing things that you already do. So, you did mention drones and drone technology and taking pictures as a hobby, but you do this as a business. You also have like this side gig, right? Mazur
Yeah.
Media, where
Yes.
you help businesses with their videography, photography, drone technology stuff. And I am not very familiar with this. So, I'm going to hand the mic over to you and tell me, what is this thing you do?
Sure. Well, to start off with of how it started, I mean, I've always known about drones and stuff like that, and they're super cool and this, that, and the other. I had the pleasure to go to Costa Rica a few times in the past few years. Gabe, who I mentioned, who I met in college, and he's one of my best friends to current date. He has friends, childhood friends, who live in Costa Rica. He introduced me to them. We went to Costa Rica, blah, blah, blah. They had drones. And in a beautiful country like Costa Rica, you can only imagine the things that you can film and take pictures of and capture and do. So when we were flying around in Costa Rica, I was like, I need me one of those. I need
Yep.
me one of those flying cameras right now.
Yeah.
Got back to Canada, bought one instantly, and flying it around, taking cool videos. I love editing videos. I love sound design. So that's kind of where the music comes in. I love
Hmm.
taking a video, extracting all the sound from it, and then adding like sound effects, music, animation
That's
sounds, and
so
really
cool.
making like something cinematic and cool. By no means am I a professional. I am fully self-taught, but I love it. I love doing it. And I love how I can do it and it doesn't really cost me anything other than like a $13 CapCut subscription, which is a video editing software,
Yep.
and the actual camera or drone. I'd say it's one of the cheaper hobbies out there. I'd say golf is more expensive. Each their own. I'm not knocking anyone who plays golf, yeah, from there, I was like, okay, this is awesome. This is fun, but how can I monopolize this? Like, how can I turn this into something where it's more than a hobby? And I was thinking, okay, I do landscape design. Drone videography and photography is quite literally, for the most part, just capturing landscape.
Yeah.
So I was like, how do okay, this is cool. And then I kind of started some research, and obviously I found other multimedia companies or businesses that do these things, and those shots that you see in commercials and stuff, those are that's drone footage. I was like, okay, well, I'm an ant in the sea or a minnow in the sea, like how do I do this? So by no means is the small little business I do anything grandiose, but it's enough for me and I like it, and I'm sure one day it'll word of mouth will travel. I haven't
Yep.
been putting a lot of focus into it right now because I've been, graduating, trying to find job security with a full-time job, and then winter was happening. So now we're moving to the summer. I'm sure I'll pick it up a little bit more. Anyways, getting ahead of myself here. I started to do some drone videography and photography for some friends who own contracting companies, construction companies, concrete companies, landscaping companies, and pro bono at first because they're buddies of mine, but then they started, compensating me for it, right?
Hmm.
And they were returning clients of mine. So it kind of took off a little bit from there through Hags Spherian as well. I did a bunch of drone videography for Spherian Design Group, his landscape architecture firm. What else? Yeah, Louis Cement is a local Grimsby concrete company that does beautiful concrete of all kinds. I did some work
Hmm.
for them. James Home Solutions is a contracting company in Grimsby here that I did some work for. So yeah, just kind of creating more social media based content. But then on the flip side of that, I just do it for a hobby as well. When I
Hmm.
go places, I take cool videos. Yeah, but now working with WSP, they also have droning, surveying kind of things within WSP. So I'm going to be starting to get my feet wet with that as well come the summertime. And that
Oh, that's so
more
cool.
so, yeah, that more so brings in like LiDAR and topography scanning. So for those who don't know, that's essentially like big drone with a big camera. It's flying over top of the land. It's shooting hundreds of millions of thousands of lasers up and down from the land to the camera. And with that, as it travels, it's able to scan the topography of the land and essentially give you a 3D model
That's so
after.
cool. It's
So,
so funny.
yeah, it's
It kind of reminds me of because my hobby is art, right? So I do a lot of
right.
abstract painting, collage, not so much sculpture, but I like creating artwork that you can feel, like a lot of texture. And
Okay.
something that I've always been obsessed with is topographical maps, like showing
Oh, that's
the
fair. Yeah.
elevations and things like that. It's like,
Yeah.
man, I would love to just like go on a 6 month, art retreat just to explore topography and grading maps,
Why
which
not?
is so
Yeah.
weird. Maybe
I
one
would
day.
say we would say niche. I'd say more
Very
niche.
niche, right?
That's
We
interesting.
all have our things that make us happy. So I'm
Yeah.
really glad for you that you were able to find a way to, find something that you love and you've monetized it. But then you're also able to bring in that sound design, which is another one of your passions, right? So
Yeah.
it's something that I think a lot of people overlook is that along our life's journey to whatever point we're at, there's been things that have lit us up, right? That excite us, that ignite that passion within us to just get up every day and do something exciting. And as I get older, I realize that all of these little things, if I am creative enough and innovative enough, I can find something that will incorporate all of those things into what I do and who I am,
Exactly.
right? So you haven't left your
Exactly.
DJing behind. You're
Yeah,
making these
really, right?
cinematographic, I don't know what that word is. Cinematic,
Yeah.
these incredible shots using a drone. So maybe one day I'll do a big enough design where I'll be like, Daniel, yeah, I need you and your drone to like, let's go make a movie. So,
Yeah, why not, right? Yeah, and
right?
that's what people want. Some people need data. Some people just want imagery of their project completed. Some people want job site documentation of the construction process of things going on. So it's like a whole bunch of different types of things you can do with it. I
Yeah.
think I like the more the imagery and like capturing the
The
final
beauty of what we
product,
do.
the
It's
beauty.
pretty
Yeah,
awesome.
I think that's what I like most, but I love it all. So
Yeah. So maybe a bit of a segue, but you mentioned, there's so
sure.
many things you can do with it. I'm curious, have you used or explored any sort of AI tools in combination with the drone footage and technology and captures?
I have nothing super crazy in depth. I kind of just like to keep myself relevant, knowing these new programs and what's
Are
going
out
on. And
there.
I'll usually like, I'll kind of dabble in them for a quick
Yeah.
second and then just kind of like forget about it and just be like, okay, I know how to use that. Like, we're fine. Okay, that's fine. Like, I'll just
Nice.
put it to the side
Cool. I have
because
something that I created that I haven't shown many people. So after we're done recording, I'll just show you.
yeah, I'd
And
love to see it.
everybody who's listening right now, they'll be like, "What? You didn't show us?" Nope, sorry. Just for you. I'll
Yeah,
just
I'd
show you.
love to see it. The only
Um,
one that I know of that I did and that I like, posted and it's on my Instagram,
okay.
it was a trend that was going around on like social media, like TikTok and stuff like that. And it was like the globe and it was like zooming in on a specific
Oh,
point of
yeah.
the world and then it'd be like a video, right? You probably saw that. So I was just filming for fun at the Burlington harbor or the Spencer Park in Burlington, and they have that pier that jets out with that weird, funky, cool looking kind of monument type thing. I don't even know what
Yep.
it is on.
I don't.
Yeah. I was filming that and I did that cool thing where I like zoomed in from the globe and then like zoomed in on me doing like an aerial shot of it. And that was AI. That was a complete
That's
AI
so
tool
cool.
to make that.
Okay.
So
Very
that was cool.
interesting.
Yeah.
And so you don't just, I don't want to say just, that's not the right word. Like, this is really cool what you do with drones. And I'm so out of my depths when it comes to drone. I don't even know how to talk about it. But you actually wrote an article in the first publication of The Designer, which is a magazine
Yes.
that the designer sector group through Landscape Ontario has started publishing now. So there's only been one out so far. You wrote an article in it about drones and drone technology, but you also designed the publication.
Yes, I did. Yes.
Like, how cool is that?
Yeah, it was honestly it was just another thing that I kind of love to do with like anything to do with like kind of Adobe Creative Suite. I love
Yeah.
using InDesign and stuff, and Lexi Dearborn just said, "Hey, we need someone to design it." I said, "Sure, I'll do it." So, honestly an honor to do it. I was very happy to do it, and I got as much feedback as I could from the committee to make sure I just made it clear it wasn't my design, it wasn't me. I want everyone to be happy with it. So,
Yeah.
that's the final product. And yeah, no, it's you got to give the article, or should I say the newsletter, a read for those who haven't read it yet or anything like that. It's a good read.
Yeah.
It's clear, concise, quick. It gives good information, and I think
And
it's
it's
definitely
free.
worth the read. And it's
Like,
free. Right? Yeah.
the first publication is online right now through landscapeontario.com/the designer winter spring. Like, there's a whole area there under publications. So look it up. I think I
Absolutely.
might be writing something in the next one. I'm not sure. But very, very cool publication that is specifically aimed to designers, which is really cool.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the key.
So we are coming up to the end of time now, and it's been really great speaking with you, Daniel, because again,
Thank you.
we like cross paths so many times and we kept trying to do this thing, and then
Yeah.
now we finally got it to happen. So before I let you go though, I understand that you have a joke and you didn't actually want to share it with me in advance. So I'm gonna give you the time now. If you've got a joke, I want to hear it.
All right. It is quite cheesy. I do have a list of jokes that I keep in my phone, but it's not the one that I thought of when I was filling out the form. That one
Okay.
has yet since escaped me, but I do have another one, and it's landscape related. The the question is, what do trees drink?
I don't know.
It's very appropriate to this podcast as well, and the name of this podcast. What do trees drink?
What? I don't know.
Root beer.
Root beer. Oh my God. How have I
One of those,
not heard that one before?
I know, right? It's one of those jokes that's in such plain sight. I kind of
Oh
like the
my
ones that are like
gosh.
that are just so easy that it's almost like a piss off
Yeah.
after you hear the punchline, then a
Yep.
laugh. It's kind of like,
I wonder how many people are listening right now going, Heather, come on, it was so obvious. And then there's going to be other listeners that were like, unbelievable. Yeah, I didn't get it either. I like the one where it's a meme where it's, I got so excited that it's spring, I wet my plants. It makes me laugh every time.
as it
So,
should.
Daniel, thank you so much for spending this time with me and for sharing a very punny joke. It is much appreciated.
You're very welcome.
So until next time, I will let you go, and I'm sure I will see you around.
Sounds good. It was a pleasure. Cheers.
Okay.
Take care.
Thanks, Daniel. Bye.
No problem.
That brings us to the end of this week's episode of Hops and Hedges, hosted by me, Heather Gerard of My Landscape Artist. Now, before you go, here's a quick word from our sponsor, ext.tech. In today's fast-paced world, landscaping businesses need modern tools to keep up with constant change, and that's where EXT comes in. EXT is transforming how landscaping, snow removal, and construction companies manage their operations. Using streamlined client management, real-time financial insights, and a modern mobile app your team will actually enjoy using. And with flat-rate pricing, there are no surprises, just clarity and control. If you're ready to revolutionize and grow your landscaping business, visit ext.tech to learn more. For additional savings, use the code HOPS10 at checkout, or just tell them that Heather sent you.